Gundam style, everybody. Welcome back, yet again, to Wow Cool Robot, a show about Gundam. I'm here, I'm Max, I use he, him pronouns, and with me, as always, is Jake.
Hey there, I'm Jake, I also use he, him pronouns.
Happy New Year, Jake. Of course, it is not New Year when I say this, but it will be when this episode goes up, because we are living in the future, about 1 week, approximately, in the future.
The time axis!
Whoa! I hope that by this time next week, your PS4 will have returned from the war. You will be able to game once again.
Its brain is soup, but maybe one day it'll be solid matter.
We had to melt it down, and hopefully we can reform it much like a caterpillar metamorphoses into a beautiful butterfly.
Yes.
Speaking of beautiful things, we're continuing to watch Double Zeta. It's a pretty good show. I think we sort of started to settle into the groove of this first arc of the show, where it's just the exact same thing happening every single week. It really is just Looney Tunes.
A little bit.
As I was watching, I noticed every single time it's just the same plot over and over again, which is just like, okay, I'll dig it. Like, I feel like, I mean, I know obviously it won't go on for, the entire show, but I feel like eventually I'll be like, all right, let's move on. Let's do the plot. It'll get there from what I can tell. Yeah.
I know a few things that happen later on, so it should definitely stop, being, bad guy shows up.
Yeah. I mean, bad guy specifically, just Mashymre shows up.
Mashymre shows up. He and Judao fight. Judao wins.
Yeah, and it's like, rinse and repeat ad infinitum. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I enjoyed these episodes. I like to see it. I like to see robots.
It's very fun.
It's like, I don't know. It's just, yet again, I don't really get people who are like, Double Zeta's not as good as Zeta. Well, I mean, maybe it's not as good eventually, but right now, it's a change of pace, but I feel like it's deliberate, right?
I think so. I think that they definitely wanted to kind of take a break from the heavy, serious matter. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of wanted to have a fun Gundam show for a little bit.
And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I dig it. Well, speaking of Gundams, we can get into it now. We've watched another 3 episodes of Double Zeta, and we're here to talk about them to you, our captive audience. Starting with Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta, Episode 4, Hot-Blooded Mashymre. In this episode, the Argama disguises itself in the junkyard of the colony. Mashymre heads out to find and capture it once more in his Gallus J. At the same time, Judao and his gang do so. On the way, Mashymre sees Fa taking care of Camille and feels affection for her, calling her an angel in white. At the junkyard, Mashymre oversees a pitfall being constructed designed to blow the victim into space. As he gets in his Gallus J and heads to the Argama, Judao grapples aboard and tussles with Mashymre, trying to take control of the suit with the help of his gang. Eventually, he's knocked away, but the gang still makes it to the Argama. Judao ends up stealing the Zeta yet again, but Mashymre is waiting for him. They face off once again, and Judao is lured to the pitfall. However, he grabs the Gallus J as he falls in. They both are blown out into space. They continue to fight. Judao eventually wins. And as the Zeta is recovered, Mashymre escapes and drives back, and he sees Fa on the way, once again accepting his failure. This is good.
This is a pretty good one.
It's like, I don't know. I'm like reading the synopsis yet again. It very much does feel like the exact same episode as before. It adds some twists and turns to it. I think once they start introducing more robots of the week for Mashymre to get into, it's a little more exciting. But this one is just okay, I get it. I sort of see how this is going.
This is probably the weakest of the 3 that we watched this week, I think.
I'd say so, yeah.
But I got a lot of really good faces from Mashymre.
Oh, yeah.
So I was happy.
Yeah, I have made a channel in our Discord server that's just dedicated entirely to Mashymre posting. Because you simply gotta.
Yeah, you simply gotta.
Pretty good. Yeah, so this one starts out. We see our friend Shamatter, the one of the sort of colony. I don't know what he even is. He's just some sort of overseer, right? He's some sort of colony governor guy. Yeah,
they never really give us a title or anything for him. I just kind of imagined he was some sort of council member or something, some kind of
he's high up in the chain of command because he talks about how his boss He he mentions his boss, and we see his boss a lot in the third episode. But so he's up there, right? And he's here helping the Argama like disguise itself. It's just sort of like a more fleshed out scene of the end of last week, where like the Argama is like, bumping itself around in the junkyard, getting completely covered in metal and scraps to like totally disguise itself, because Axis is still here, still hanging out, still causing problems on purpose.
One thing I really liked is Mashymre says, just a couple of gentle shakes to hide it better. And it kind of looks like somebody just grabbed a layer with their mouse and just shook it back and forth in Photoshop.
I got that too. It really does. It's like, you don't really got to go crazy animating this. Let's just kind of shimmy and shake it and move it around. I'm going to attribute that to the inexperience of the one of the pilots there who's taking over for Saigusa, who had been killed by Yazan last week. Very, very sad. Ugh. And then we cut over, and I think I'm sort of seeing like the common theme of gold bars being a main currency here, because Mashymre is staying in like a luxury hotel inside the colony. And first of all, this guy is wearing an all-white suit with like a light purple shirt and a darker purple tie, and he has his rose like pinned to his breast pocket. This dude looks so good in this outfit.
He is a fancy man. I love it.
He's such a fancy lad, and he pays for his hotel stay in like... Well, he goes to the front desk, and the clerk is like, "Oh, you're leaving very early today, sir." And he's like, like, how would you like to pay? And he's like, "Well, I don't have a cash or card on me." And he just pulls out like a straight up gold bar and hands it to the guy.
Yeah, like, cash or card? And he says, "How about neither?"
How about pure solid space gold? Almost certainly you would not... Maybe rules are different in space, but like, if I were to be grocery shopping and just hand a gold bar to the clerk, I don't think they'd be able to take it.
I worked front desk at a hotel for nearly a decade, and there was nowhere in our employee manual or any of our rules on how to take gold bars. There are specifically only cash and card instructions, so I don't think they would have been able to take it.
Oh, I mean, this is a different world. This is in space, so I guess rules are just different here. And, it's a better world because not only do they have robots, you can just pay with gold.
Yeah,
it's the libertarian dream. So, Mashymre heads out. One of the Axis Xeon guys shows up. He's in, like, full uniform, and he's, like, escorting him out. And Mashymre's like, "Bro, do not wear this." Because, he's still trying to be sort of undercover. And then he has a buddy who's like, "Hey, Commander Mashymre Cello of Axis, how you doing this morning?" It's like, Ixnay, nope.
And I love that this guy expected this. He has a dress shirt and a tie underneath his uniform.
Yeah, why was he wearing the uniform over it then?
He had slacks on. He had a suit jacket in his car. He was prepared.
He was prepared. He just wanted to make a scene. He has a flair for the dramatic. This guy's name is Gotten, Gottn, I believe.
I was specifically listening for how they say it, and it's kind of like cotton, but with a G.
Okay, yeah, so Gotten. All right, okay. Blowing that. Gotten. He's fine. We see him a lot. He takes Mashymre. They're in like a little buggy sort of thing, and he changes in the car, and like Mashymre looks away as he does this.
Yeah.
And I think they're driving now, because right now their goal is to capture the Argama. I guess they know that it's been taken inside the colony. They just don't know where it is. I guess, yeah, no, because he was in it. So they're trying to find it, because they know it's there somewhere.
And then he has a flashback to Haman.
Yes.
She's like, "You are the chosen youths who have pledged themselves to the Zabi family." And I'm kind of like, I wonder if he just has really high hopes, or does she have really high hopes of him, or is this all just his daydream?
Because we see so many Haman flashbacks in these episodes.
I am so excited to see the two of them actually interact, so I can see what she actually thinks of him.
I truly think... Well, I don't know if I think this, but I hope it's the latter. I hope she just thinks he's some regular guy.
Yeah, she's like, Marshmallow, was it?
Yeah. Like, it would... I mean, it's perfect, right? It's the exact kind of humor the show is narrowed in on, where it's like, yeah, she just doesn't care for him at all, but he, like, overblows it in his head because he's just so enamored with her, and I really hope it's that. Oh, God. I really hope so.
And as he's daydreaming, they're driving around, and Gotten almost crashes into the Junkrat teens.
Yeah, so they make it into town, right? And we see we see Beecha and... Where in my notes did I say this? We see Beecha and Elle driving on like this tow, and they're carrying their petite mobile around, and like, you know, they almost crash, and like Goten's like laying on the horn, and Beecha and Elle are like, "Watch where you're going, boomers!" and drive off. and Mashymre's like, "Be calm, Goten." Well, I forgot he sounds like Pegasus in my mind. "Be calm, Goten. It's our job to educate kids like that,
and give them a dream to follow. High-spirited children are a resource in war." And I was like, ooh,
I don't know about that, buddy. Tone it down.
Yeah. Supposed to be my favorite.
No, yeah, you can't say problematic things 4 episodes in, please. Next we see Lena's like out getting milk, and she runs into the kids, and they're, you know, they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, "We're gonna pick up Jude out." It's like, "You better fucking not. That guy better go to school." And they're like, "That's exactly what we're doing."
She's like, "Are you thinking about skipping school? Not on my fucking watch."
Yeah. She is like, probably like, I'm gonna guess like 10 years old-ish. So like, you know, she's the only responsible one here. I guess Elle's pretty responsible too, but right now Elle is still in like Zeta stealing mode too. And they drive over to Judao's place, and they like go pick him up, and they, you know, he obviously joins them, and she's like, you know, left behind because she's still on her whole, you know, you need to go to work, you need to go to school thing. And he's like, wow, cool robot. Sorry, Lena. Got a jet.
She's like, "I know what I'll do. I'm going to go tell on them to Fa."
Yeah, which is like funny. I guess they're just like friends with Fa now, or at least Lena is. I feel like Fa's probably friends with Lena and no one else because Lena's the only like reasonable one here.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. And speaking of, Mashymre is like, So Goten is driving Mashymre to a hospital because he's like, okay, Argama refugees are here. If we take them, you know, we don't need to use them as hostages. We can use them more as like shields. And Mashymre's like, "Fuck you say to me." And he like whips the wheel around because he refuses to, you know, use hostages or shields. He fights with honor. And in doing so, he nearly like straight up like runs over Fa and Camille, who are in front of the hospital right now. Uh-oh.
And he gets out to go check on them to make sure they're okay. And I think that this guy just falls in love with everybody that he sees. Yeah. Because he like almost instantly falls in love with Fa.
I don't like, so in my summary, I said it was affection. I feel like it's more, he sees Fa as sort of upholding his chivalrous ideals.
That makes sense too.
You know, Fa's pushing Camille around in the wheelchair, right? Because Camille's still sort of comatose. And he's like, "Oh, you know, you angel in white," is what he calls her, which is great. And he thinks that she's the nurse, and Shinta and Kum are there, and they're like, "She's his girlfriend." And Mashymre's like, "Oh my god, if only everyone was so lucky to have someone like you." He gets so sparkly and like amazed, and it's just like, dude, this guy is so nice. Like, what if he ends up being a good guy? He won't, but what if he did?
Oh, I would love that. Mashymre joined the good guys 2020.
Give me the... let's push that to be a 2021 goal. We got 4 days left in the year, I think.
Good point.
Yeah, we gotta temper our expectations a bit. I love it. This guy is such a good character. He's so fun. He makes me so happy.
One of the kids has a really good line, because when he's praising her, he says something about, "Oh, you're taking care of him even though he can't walk." And they're like, "Camille can walk. He just doesn't understand anything anymore because of the war."
Yeah, me too, buddy. I mean, I feel like saying that makes more sense than a vampire turned his mind into soup.
He just doesn't understand anything.
Don't get it. You don't get it. Yeah. And also, as this entire thing is happening, Goten is doing like the Commander Picard meme facepalm, like because he's just speaking so flowery and like talking about Fa, and just like, oh my god, it's like it really does feel like he's driving his mom around almost. Like,
oh my god,
Mashymre is just this like maniac who just does whatever he wants, and Goten is like trying to keep things on track, and like Mashymre is taking way too long to talk to a friend of his at the grocery store, and like, you know, Goten's in line to check out, and Mashymre runs off because he forgot something, but the line started moving way too fast, and Goten doesn't have the money on him, and he starts to panic. It's so scary. I hate when that happens.
Oh god, yeah, that just instantly brought back a lot of anxiety.
It's no good. Oh god. And then he does this insane, like, as they leave, he drives off, and this dialogue, or monologue he gets, "A flower blooming amidst the slums. This mad society has driven her to tragedy. I can only see a dark future for her." Like, and also, when he said a flower blooming amidst the slums, I was like, Aerith? Talk about Aerith Final Fantasy? That's literally what she does. And actually, you know what? I'm kind of thinking about it. I feel like there's some through lines a little bit. I mean, they're kind of in like the slum colony.
Yeah. Okay, I can.
Final Fantasy VII is double Zeta. I'm going to keep workshopping this, and I'll report back later on when I've sort of crystallized my thoughts on this fun new AU of mine.
A 7 is kind of like half of a Z. So
that's true.
So I'm not smart enough to put it together, but there's something there.
There's definitely something there. The numbers don't lie, Jake. I think we can figure it out at some point. We'll get there. We have the entire show to get there. So
there we go.
What happens next?
So it cuts next to the junkyard where the teens are kind of searching around for the Argama. They heard that it was in, I believe, Sector 4.
That sounds right.
And they see that the Axis troops, they find them kind of rigging the junkyard, or like kind of searching through the junkyard. Mm-hmm. And we cut back to Mashymre's point of view, and he's mad at them because they're rigging the junkyard with bombs so they can have advantage against the Zeta, and that's not honorable.
It's not. Why would you arm a trap to blow the robot into space when you could simply do honorable hand-to-hand combat, die valiantly in battle? One is vastly preferable to the other for me.
They also brought the mobile suit with them, but they know that he doesn't want to freak the people out, so they disguised it by hiding it under a bunch of boxes of crates of liquor.
Yeah.
He goes, but why liquor crates? Couldn't you have hidden it under roses or something?
That's like, God, I love it. It's like that'd be, you bring me a mobile suit on a big flatbed truck and it's covered in like, it makes it look like a truck. It's like, carrying beer. And I'm like, why didn't you simply hide it under like a billion ants or ladybugs? Cover it in bugs. No one would touch it. No one would think about it. I simply think the robot should be disguised in a more fun way fitting my character.
Yeah.
It's not hard to figure out. Of course, he gets in it. It's the Gallus J from before. We've seen it. We like it. It's a cool guy. He gets up. He just starts like walking there. It's funny how anticlimactic it is. It's like this whole like pretty long scene of him like, climbing out of the crates and the crates are falling around him. And he just like slowly starts walking over. And of course, like Judao is carrying a straight up grappling hook with him for some reason.
Because he's, like we said last time, he's Spider-Man.
He is Spider-Man. The Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam really makes you feel like the Spider-Man. And as he's walking, Judao, chucks it up. He latches onto it. And we cut over. Fa and Lena and the orphans are driving to the junkyard now to stop them. Because, Lena's snitched on everybody. The orphans are there. They get stuck in, like a little ditch of trash. And then for some reason, Fa's first reaction is like, Shinta and Kum, can you go out and push? The orphans? Hello?
The actual babies?
The 5-year-old kids? I mean, I get that you can't really have them, like, pilot the car, but, like, I don't know, have Lena get in the front seat and Fa push, maybe. That seems like the reasonable... It's just, I don't know, I love Fa, but I'm afraid that, like, Double Zeta's gonna make her, like, into, a worse character than she was in the previous series, and I'm just like, oh, no, justice for Fa! Don't make me keep saying it.
I have a feeling that they are going to make us keep saying it.
Yeah, I hate to see it. Let's see what happens. Mashymre's in the cockpit, and he's like, "Are the engineers on the Endra really good? Because like he can't close the cockpit. He's like having trouble. It won't like fully like close and latch and everything like that." And as he does this, Judao like triggers like the back camera, and like he's like looking around. He's like, "There's a youth attached to my mobile suit."
And he's very condescending about it too. I didn't write down what he said. I just wrote down that he was very condescending. He's like, "What is this teenager doing?"
He calls him an awful child a lot.
Yeah, he calls him an awful child. That's what it was.
It's like this miserable little wretch of a boy on my suit.
And Judao just snaps back that he's going to steal and scrap his mobile suit because that's what he does.
That's what he do. I think he should simply be allowed to. And as this happens, the kids are driving up, and like L is filling bottles with sand, and you're like, what the hell is this for? And I guess in this buggy are they in the buggy or are they in the flatbed? I don't remember. But,
I think they were still in the flatbed.
Okay, all right. But they have like this big old slingshot launcher on the flatbed.
I wrote down that they they played Angry Birds with them.
Yeah. They use their Wii motion controls to aim the slingshot and effectively fire bottles of sand into the cockpit of the Gallus J to blind Mashymre.
And they almost nailed him in the fucking head.
They almost like kill this dude.
Like I don't think he would have been okay if those shots connected.
Yeah, because like two things happen: the bottle explodes, and then you have shards of glass and sand on your face, or the bottle doesn't explode, but you still get hit by like a launched glass bottle of sand. So either way, you're not getting out of this one in one piece, I don't think.
It's got to be really heavy.
It's got to be heavy and painful, and it misses him, but it hits right next to his head, and like, sand's everywhere. And this is, of course, where we've gotten the emoji that you so graciously clipped out for us of Mashymre's face, like one eye half closed, like snotty, covered in tears.
Yeah, the sad simp emoji. He's great.
It's the sad simp. It's so good. God.
He's very angry at Judao and the other kids, and he has a flashback of Haman saying, where she basically tells him that like kids suck, but they are society's victims. We must watch over them and show them even more affection. And so he stops being mad.
It's great. He's like, in the name of my lady Haman, I shall punish you. And of course, yeah, in the flashback, it's like, every single thing this guy does is like informed by his Slumdog Millionaire ass flashbacks of Haman, which again may or may not have happened. This could be all in his head, and I really hope it is, just because like I love that's like what informs his character. This guy's so good. He rules.
He really does. So while he's having this flashback, the Teen Junk Squad runs away, and they find a hiding spot, which just so happens to be where the Argam is hiding.
Oh, how convenient of it.
So lucky.
Yeah, because you Mashymre vows, he's like, the only way to correct this is to take the Argama, reform the colony from the inside out.
Oh, yes.
And now, yeah, and the kids are like, they find the Argama and they're sneaking aboard. And Bright and Taurus and everyone are like in the hangar, all the lights are off. They're like waiting, because they knew the kids would show up, and they're like, have the kids arrived yet? Like, all right, lock them in. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, lock them in, shut down the corridors, lead them here.
And of course, when they get there, the lights come on, and everyone like dives out and starts trying to tackle the kids and like take them down. And it's like, oh my god, like I guess that's a pretty competent way, because these stupid thieving teenagers are going to come back and try and steal your like valuable prototype military equipment. You might as well like predict it, I guess.
See, I was wondering if they, because Bright was like, yeah, let's lead them here, and kind of like last episode where he was like, oh, yes, he's kind of like those other boys that I traumatized. Maybe he's wanting him to get in the mobile suit because he knows about the Gallus J coming. So maybe they're just pretending to try to capture them. Because nobody goes after Judao.
They're like, all right, dive after everyone else, but we got to let Judao end up in the cockpit. We got to see what this guy can do. Bright, once again, proving that he just has these awful, awful leadership skills. Completely useless man. Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Like you said, he is the bad guy of Gundam.
Bright is the one who perpetuates this cycle of violence by finding boys and thinking, this boy can probably become a weapon. Let's see what happens. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah. Judao gets in, obviously. He ends up escaping because, he's going to steal it. And, of course, Mashymre is just standing there outside. He's ready. He's waiting. He fires the finger guns that are, in the sort of, red-dipped fingertips of the Gallus J. Which, that's a cool thing. I like that. That's a fun little mechanism we get to see. And he's like, Zeta, Ike! Which is, Zeta, go. I love that. I like how they always, say their name and the robot when they launch. And, he's not really part of the Argama right now, but, I still like that he still is like, let's go!
Yeah.
His, little screaming baseball head, let's fucking go! It's a screaming Haro head saying that, actually.
Hell yeah.
No, that could be an emoji. I'll have to write that down for later.
Hell yeah. I like that.
And he's fighting Mashymre, of course.
And Mashy is like, well, I don't want to use the guns and end up hurting civilians or damaging the colony. So he decides to use the pitfall, regrettably.
He doesn't want to. It's not chivalrous, but he simply has to. And, I really like that the whole time, as this and, all the other battles happen, it's, Mashymre weighing what he should do, in regard to the civilians that are there. Because, everything he does, they know he's Axis, so it's going to reflect poorly on him if he, causes a ruckus, causes a problem. So it's gotta be strategic with it. I dig that. That's a fun, like, little twist on it.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like about Mashymre, is that it's probably one of the most unique villain ideas that I've ever seen, because most villains in shows, like, don't give a crap about, like, what the common people think of them, because they just are so single-mindedly on wanting to take down the good guys. But he's like, no, we want them to know that we're the good guys, because in his mind they are.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, if we're comparing it, like, we look at Char in 0079, and, like, yeah, he didn't really have, like, opportunities to, like... Well, I guess, when he was on the colony with Lala and Amuro at the same time, he didn't really do anything. I mean, he didn't know, but, like, when they had to leave, he waited until they were outside the airspace to begin the fighting. So it's like, he sort of followed the rules, but he wasn't, like, that wasn't his whole MO. And then in Zeta, Jared did not care at all. Jared was willing to do whatever. Papnos didn't care at all. And, like, none of the people there really, like, cared for what happens in, Collateral. And I like that Mashymre is, like, the complete opposite, where, like, that's the most important thing to him. Like, both the chivalry of it and, like, making sure that he does things the right way. It's like, he's a villain. He's on the wrong side, but I appreciate that he's, like, a, just because you are a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy.
He's noble. And And he genuinely believes that he is the hero, which I also really love.
Yeah, no, I also genuinely believe that he's the hero. Let me just get that out there right now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. They're escaping. He won't fire, and he ends up leading him to the pit, and it works. And, like, I didn't realize that this pit straight up went into space. I thought it was just, like, a junk pit, and, like, enough junk would cover the Zeta that they could, like, surround him with guns or something.
Yeah, seriously, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, but as he's falling, he, like, grabs the Gallus J's, like, leg skirt thing, and, like, pulls him down, and they're, like, out into space. And Bright, like, is Bright is radioing Judao to, like, help him out, because Judao does not know how to fly this thing still, and he's spinning around because he hasn't activated, like, the gyroscopes on it, so he, like, can't stay upright. And it's just, like, I love that every single time Judao gets in, he has to learn a new way to, like, not die in this stupid thing. And of course, not only can he not right himself, but the air is leaking out of the cockpit of the Zeta. Uh-oh. You hate to see it. And now, Mashymre can use more of his weapons. He fires some missiles off at him. It's a tussle.
Judao eventually grabs onto a pole and kind of starts being an acrobat. And he does some neat spinnies and just goes and kicks him in the chest.
It's like, yeah, because, like, Mashymre grabs him and he's, like, going to ram him into the side of the colony to, like, I guess, like, break the cockpit or whatever. But, like, Judao grabs that and he starts spinning and he does the kick and Mashymre's, like, knocked away. And I guess, like, that does enough damage. I guess he kicks him right in the cockpit, so, like, Mashymre kind of has to escape because the cockpit's not fully secured on the Gallus J either. It's not really clear, but, whatever, I'll take it. Because we don't really see the Gallus J again.
He did have a hard time in the beginning getting the cockpit to actually close. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's still partially Jeep Wrangler mode.
Yeah. It does make sense that there's, like, some sort of, like, issues with it. So I like that they kind of brought it back.
Yeah, and like, we see, Mashymre escaped, and we see Judao, like, using his clothes to plug the air holes inside the cockpit. And Bright's like, okay, can I have my robot back, please? And, like, Judao's like, what's in it for me? And Bright's like, I'll give you food. And Judao's like, yeah, okay, all right, you got me. Yeah, you got me there, buddy. I'll take some meal. I didn't realize they served continental breakfast on the Argama, but that's a nice draw. I'm sure all the crew members appreciate that.
And then we cut to Mashymre kind of reflecting on his loss. And this is the line that made me think that, like, he also fell in love with Fa. Because he's like, my base desires may have led to my failure. And I was like, he did kind of get distracted.
Yeah, that was a weird little thing. I don't like the idea of him falling in love with Fa, because I think Fa's still, like, 17. And he's like, actually, hold on, let me just Mashymre age, because this guy is 19? This guy's 19! Wait, no. Impossible. No. This guy is 19 years... Oh, no.
I'm gonna go grab myself some whiskey real quick and just...
He's younger than Haman? I mean, I guess... It makes sense, because... Oh, no. I like the idea... Well, okay, here's the problem, right? Haman is, like, 20. So I don't want him to be older, but also I look at him and I'm like, this guy's in his 30s.
Yeah.
He's 19! Ah! This is insane.
Yeah, this is ugh.
Oh my god. I'm not like, it's not that I'm grossed out, it's more that I'm just like baffled by like the fact that I know his age now. It's like information I wasn't like, my brain's not able to fully like comprehend.
And
oh my god.
Like I genuinely would have put him like mid-20s.
Yeah, mid-20s, like late 20s, early 30s, around there, but like, oh my god.
But it's anime ages, so you know.
Yeah, you know. Well, it's not anime ages because it's not anime. So jot that down.
Anime-ish ages, where like late 20s is basically a senior citizen. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like on death's door. My last note is like as he like leaves the battle from Judao, he's like, the man's an imbecile. No wonder I'm at a disadvantage. So I think he's starting to realize that Judao does not know how to pilot the Zeta, which is just like, oh, very good stuff, delightful.
You're doing it wrong.
You gotta pilot chivalrously, Judao. Come on.
I don't know how to fight you when you don't fight right.
Yeah. So the ending, I think, sort of makes up for, you know, the episode's just kind of but we get some more Mashymre stuff, which I love.
Oh yeah.
All right, shall we move on to the next one?
All right. Episode 5. Judao's decision. Gimon, a colony junk trader, offers his help to Mashymre in taking down the Zeta Gundam in his homemade mobile suit, the Jizz. The G's.
Do not... Jake!
I meant to say G's, and then I like...
You can't, Jake!
That was an accident.
I say Geese.
I meant G's.
Ah, G's.
And then I kind of started thinking about how they actually say it.
It is, it's Geze. Geze.
Okay. Alright, from the top.
Yeah.
Because, that was... Whoops.
Yeah.
Take another sip of my whiskey real quick. Alright. Gimon, a colony junk trader, offers his help to Mashymre in taking down the Zeta Gundam in his homemade mobile suit, the Gizeh. Meanwhile, Fa is trying to convince Judao to join the Argama's crew as a cadet pilot, but he refuses and heads to school. L sneaks around the Indra for surveillance, and as Gimon takes off from the Indra with 2 Gaza Cs, she drives off to warn the others. As L arrives at the school, Gimon lands there, thinking he was challenged by the Zeta. Judao and the gang end up tripping his Gizeh, so he starts smashing the school. Fa then arrives in the Zeta, and they fly off to a field and fight. Gimon has the upper hand against Fa, so Judao gets in the cockpit and defeats the Gizeh by spinning the cockpit and cutting its arms off. After the battle, Judao is finally convinced to return the Zeta to the Argama, as Mashymre plans his next move.
Now this one's a pretty fun, wacky time, huh?
On my first watch through, did not enjoy this episode. On my second watch through, I was like, yeah, okay, I like this one.
I like it just be like, you know, more leaning into the absurdity of Double Zeta. I like it because it's this random guy's like, yo, I built a robot. Can I go fight? And Mashymre's like, fuck it, I don't care, dude. Why not? Go for it, homie.
I honestly thought I missed his motivation
Me
first
too.
time. But on the second watch, I realized there is none. He just wants to do it.
He's just a guy. He's this guy who's like, he has like, you know, like dark tan skin, dark brown hair. He wears this like very bright, almost neon pink normal suit with a big ass yellow G stitched into it for his name Gemon. But I also like the idea that he's Gundam. This is Gundam.
Yeah, I'm Gundam.
We found him. He's Gundam. He's just a silly looking guy. And yeah, like the episode like starts like almost in media res as like Gemon is aboard the Endra and he's like, you know, negotiating with Mashymre saying like, yeah, you know, I'll be a subcontractor. You can have me do it. And, you know, Mashymre is like sort of like weighing if he should like accept his help or not. And then, of course, Slumdog Millionaire flashback, Hamon tells him that he needs the trust of the people of the colony. And then, you know, he wakes back up and he's like, Hamon says we should trust people of the colony. And then, yeah, he accepts. And Gemon's only conditions are that he gets 2 Gaza Cs as backups. The Gaza Cs, of course, being our friends from Zeta, the pink and dark pink mobile suit that is like the main sort of grunt suit of Axis. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever. The Geze, though, this thing is funky looking, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. It is a weird 4-armed mess. It's like, I drew a little doodle of it, and I realized that the head kind of looks like part of a church.
The head reminds me a lot of the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, like, It's like gray and red and black mostly. It's like, it's like a very like sort of like plain color scheme. Big stocky feet and thighs, and the legs are really short though. I think it's about.
I was gonna say he's got some stubby legs and some Kingdom Hearts feet.
He does have Kingdom Hearts feet, doesn't he? Oh god, and yeah, like really stubby, but he's as tall as the Zeta, so it's just a big suit. Really, really wide thighs. It's a POG of a mobile suit. On the waist, the cockpit like sort of spins around on a ring around the like waist of it. So it's like that's one of the gimmicks, the movable cockpit. The chest goes up. In the shoulder binders, it's not really binders, it's more just like shoulder guards, are 2 arms each. Like one is a more like hand-like arm, and one is more of like a pinchy grabby arm. But there's like, so this thing has 4 arms total, and the head, like, like Jake said, it sort of like raises into a point like a church, or like the Tin Man sort of like oil dripper hat thing. It's really weird looking, and I like that. It definitely looks like a homemade mobile suit, right? It definitely looks like some guy just made it in his garage.
Yeah, like like they said, he's a junk. Like we said, he's a junk dealer, and it definitely looks like he scrapped it from a lot of different like mobile suits that he found pieces of. It's kind of a Franken suit.
It's a Franken suit. I like it. I like that it's weird and ugly. Like, I like impractical, ugly mobile suits. That's like kind of my favorite design of them. So like this one's good to me.
They're fun.
And yeah, this guy's a buffoon also, because like, as he accepts, he floats up and like bonks his own head on the mobile suit and like falls back down. Just like, okay, I get this guy's deal already. I see how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Fa's talking to them on like the steps of Judao's house, I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so not in the Argama, but it's like Fa saying, yeah, Bright wants you all to become cadet pilots. Or at least just Judao.
And they're like, nah.
I like that. Like, as a demonstration of how much they don't want to do that, Judao's like, let's go to school instead. The one thing we know about him is that he hates going to school, so he's like, I would rather be in school than work for that stuck-up asshole of a ship captain.
I think this is where we really start to see some of, like, Judao's actual personality, because so far he's just kind of been, like protagonist mode, but now we're seeing him, like, the conversation of responsibility and, like, getting a job opens up to him, and he's, like, kind of runs away from that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he's comfortable doing his sort of like vagrant junk trader life. It's interesting, right? Like the sort of characterization, because he is, again, so different than Camille and Amuro at this point. Because, Amuro, the go-getter hero, he sees a Gundam, he gets in the Gundam right away. I guess that's the through line. They all get in the Gundam right away, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, Amuro the tinker, he gets in the Gundam and he's like ready to fight. And Camille is like reluctant to fight. But, like he's spurred on by Jared, and Judao, he's not about fighting. He's about money, baby. He's about stealing and scrapping that Zeta. So I really like Judao. I think he works so well as a protagonist just right away because he's so radically different than what you'd expect from a protagonist.
Yeah, and like, I really am excited to see how his character grows because, he's starting off like they keep telling him like, hey, be the protagonist, be the main character. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to do my own thing. They're like, no, but if you come over here, we'll like fast track you into being the super action star. And he's like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, I could do that, or I could sell the Zeta and buy a PS5. So I'd rather do that. Goodbye. I like him. He's a cool guy.
He's great.
Can't wait to see more. And of course, Lena wants him to do it. And, as they leave, Lena follows, and she tells Fa that she can convince him to see her way.
She promises Fa that she's going to do it.
Like, which is like, I like that because, again, it's seeing that sibling relationship. But she's like, yeah, he's my brother. I know how to get to him. I know how to wear him down to the point where he'll listen to me. Siblings do be like.
Oh, yeah.
And we see Elle real quick. She's on the Xeon ship. She's on the Entra. She's like doing recon, and like, a guard sees her as she's like in some duct looking around, and he's like, you're not supposed to be here. And she's like, I've been waiting for you, I guess, to like draw him closer. And she just like kicks him in the chest and like, floats off. Because at this point is when Gemon leaves with the Gaza seas, and she's like, I gotta tell the gang.
Yeah, she's like, do you know how long I've been waiting here?
Yeah, it's just, I love these kids. I love that they're like really good at like just like being sneaky little assholes.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god, this next scene.
So Mashymre he's in the Indra, just kind of contemplating his what just happened, and he is like taking advantage of the low gravity to float crisscross applesauce in the air. He's like at an angle. He's a king. He starts to worry that people might get scared seeing so many suits and that it might make the Axis forces look bad. So then he lands and he kneels down and starts praying to Haman for her guidance and to make him know what to do, to make him a better captain. He just starts praying to her for strength, basically.
He says, I wrote down the entire prayer, as it were. My beloved Lady Haman, before you I am but a poor lost lamb seeking your help. I beg you, please grant this lamb your wisdom and courage. I beg of you, Lady Haman. Oh, Lady Haman, Lady Haman, Lady Haman. And of course, as he's praying, the Gotten is outside the door listening in, and he accidentally trips the door to open. And Mashymre, this is an interesting scene, because I thought Mashymre was so open with his love for Lady Haman, but I guess even he has his sort of embarrassment limits, because he immediately starts choking Gotten. He's like, you saw nothing.
And Gotten's like, I didn't hear anything about a sheep.
I didn't hear anything about you being a lost little lamb, pretty Lady Haman. He's like, very good. And I guess sort of as hush money, he's like, after this operation, you'll get a week off. It's just like, yeah, dude, this is great.
Just be cool and you get a vacation.
Do not tell everyone of my obsession, please, dear God. What happens? Elle ends up outside. She's in the truck in the town. She picks up Fa and Lena, and Fa's like, oh, shit, mobilizing. And then Fa, kicks Elle out of the truck, and Fa drives off alone. And she's like, she goes to find Judao, because apparently Judao's at school, which is what Lena says. And she's like, all right, whatever, fine. Because she has to go pick him up and get him to fight, because I guess, at this point, she still wants Judao to fight over her for some reason. Yeah.
And Elle says a really great line about, is the weather making everybody sick? And they're like,
oh, God, yeah.
And they're like, they've actually been really lazy. It's only been spring for a while.
That's a cute thing, because, yeah, she's, surprised to hear Judao's actually at school for some reason.
Yeah.
And, I like that, they can just, keep it at spring. I mean, honestly, spring's my favorite season. If it was forever spring, I'd be happy.
I think that if I could choose a forever season, I'd probably choose, mid-fall.
Yeah, I feel like that's the vast majority of what people would want, just because everyone loves fall.
Give me that nice October weather.
Yeah. And as this happens, as they drive off, we see none other than my boy Yazan, who is in a cowboy ass poncho cloak and a hat and has stubble now, and he's just a mobile suit. I'm gonna steal it.
Yeah.
I feel like, God, what? I don't know what happened with that voice there. I feel like he's sort of starting to go a little Waluigi. I feel like he'll end up there, I'm sure.
Like you said, he's growing some stubble, and it's really only on his upper lip, so he's starting to grow like a mustache. And I have to imagine if he lets that grow out, it is just a jagged, a jagged Waluigi mustache.
It's just. I'm gonna Waluigi, Yazan, Gable. God, I love this guy so much. He sucks. So yeah, they cut to school, and Judao's actually going to class, and they walk in as a teacher is counting attendance, and he skips over Judao, and Judao's like, bro, I'm here. It was just I love that he probably hasn't gone to school in an entire month, and the teacher's just given up on him. And
Judao, he kind of fucks with the kid as he walks in, and then reserved for him is the protagonist chair.
Oh, he sits in the protagonist seat.
I loved that they had that basically specifically reserved for him.
Yeah, and then we cut over to the other classroom, and Beach is fully asleep at his desk, and the teacher throws chalk and accidentally hits the girl in front of him, and then she picks up an entire ass vase of roses, and the scene cuts down. We hear ceramic shattering, and Beach is screaming in pain. It's oh my God, not good.
I love that he fell asleep immediately. It's 5 seconds after we see Judao arrive, and we have to imagine that he arrived at basically the same time, and he just immediately is in the back of the class snoring.
It's Beecha didn't have his skill high enough to dodge the teacher's the teacher's vase throw, and this reminded me of when I was in high school. I never really fell asleep in class except for one time in religion class. I went to private school. What about it? Where I was asleep and I wasn't woken up by the teacher repeatedly saying my name, but me losing balance and jolting myself awake in front of the entire class, and it was the most mortifying, embarrassing day of my entire life.
So my embarrassing fall asleep in school story is that I had a bad habit of doing it, and so one of my teachers got just sick of waking me up, so he didn't, and so I woke up in the middle of the next class.
Oh my god!
I looked up. I didn't recognize anybody. I looked up and I made eye contact with the teacher, and he just goes, "Yeah."
Oh my god.
And I grabbed all my stuff and I just ran out of there. And
oh, that's embarrassing.
I made it to my next class, and the two teachers that I had in a row were buddies. So he had told him, like, he's like, "Hey man, your dude's sleeping in my class and I'm not gonna wake him up."
Oh my god.
And
that's so good.
I got in there, and the next teacher just turns and looks at me and goes, "Finally, we're about." I was beat red. I just had my head hung in shame.
It's mortifying.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It was looking back at it now, it's freaking hilarious, but at the time,
I'm sure it's like, no!
At the time I wanted to die.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. So cutting back to the scene, we see Shinta and Coom roll up because they were with Fa. And they're in the yard, in like the sort of schoolyard. They have one of those, like, you know, sports chalk machines that, like, you know, you push it and it makes the line. And of course, like, they end up spelling ZG just because, like, that's the only letters they know, because they live aboard the Argama and all they ever hear is Zeta Gundam, Zeta Gundam, Zeta Gundam.
They have no education.
No, of course not. And then as is happening, Ella's like calling to Judao for help. And, like, you know, all the kids look out the window. And as this happens, like, the 3 mobile suits fly in, and Gemon sees the ZG, and he thinks the Zeta's there challenging him.
Yeah. He got a natural 20 on his perception check to notice that, and a natural 1 on his. Not
charisma maybe, because like he seems like a complete doofus in front of this school, challenging this school, right?
Yeah. I keep wanting to say intent, but that's not the name of the role. Whatever.
Yeah, that's a different game.
The role that lets you know if somebody's telling the truth.
What the fuck is that? It's not role lying. It's wow. Why can't I think of it right now?
Right? What?
Deception?
No, it's kind of like deception.
No, because it's the opposite of deception. Because it's you lying. Oh my god, it'll come to me at some point. Oh my god. Wow. I feel like tweet at us. Tell us what the right stat is, listeners. And he's like challenging the Zeta, and like, and he's like on the megaphone, and like Bright can hear this, like, you know, from at the Argama, and he's like, "Someone shut that idiot up." It's like, you're the idiot who needs to shut up, Bright.
I was like, how loud does this guy have his speakers? They are in the middle of town.
I guess he tapped into the sort of PA system around the colony for some reason, somehow. I guess, well, he's a junk trader, so he'd probably like know how to do that. I believe that's how it works.
That makes more sense. I was just like, he is so damn loud.
Who is this fool? And let's see. So yeah, Gemon threatens to kill every student if the Zeta doesn't show. And of course, in response, Judao and the gang go up to the roof to taunt Gemon as Bicha and Ino pull like a rope around the Geze's leg. So, you know, they're banging on pots and pans with brooms.
They're talking shit.
Stubby legs, no way, stumbles all over the place. It's a cute little get his ass poem that Judao says. They
at one point yell, "You think you're cool? Maybe you should take lessons from a Hyzak or something."
Yeah, it's like, oh, dude, get his ass. Hell yeah, I love these mobile suit-based insults. And the plan works. They end up tripping the Geze, and he falls over, and he, like, you know, I think, okay, so he falls over. He starts attacking the school, right? Because he ends up getting back up, because he's mad, now he starts smashing the roof. And at this point, Yazan is here, and I think Yazan grabs, like, a broom or something. Because like we see a shot earlier of like a manhole cover being like pushed open by like, you know, all the smashing, and Yazan doesn't see the manhole cover and falls in and uses the broom to like, you know, hold himself up. But then like the debris covers the manhole cover, and like Yazan never gets to say a word. Literally all he does is show up and get owned by the debris. And I'm just like, yes, this is perfect. This is exactly what Yazan needs to be now.
Yep. Okay, so a broom kind of makes more sense. I thought he had a pole and was going to try to like pole vault onto the mobile suit and steal it.
I think maybe he was. I think that was the intent. I think he might have had a broom and he was going to use the broom for that. But I feel like it's both. Like,
what a doofus! I would love to see that.
I would. God, I love that he just wants to steal things. He's on rules. And Fa is the one to go out in Zeta this time for some reason. Well, because, Judao's not there.
Yeah, she gets to the Argama, and she prepares to launch. And Bright, the absolute motherfucker, is like, when you get there, make sure to give Judao the Zeta. She's like,
no!
I can handle this on my own. And she can.
She can! God, it's awful. And of course, we see, as Gemon is attacking the school, the orphans are yelling, Zeta Gundam! Zeta Gundam! And Lena's there, and she also yells, Zeta Gundam! It's cute.
Yeah.
And of course, Zeta Gundam, it's here. And Fa, lures the Geze away, because she's like, you don't want to fight in front of the school. We should fight in, a less populated area so we can go all out. And she has, the big gun. Or I think she just has a gun with Zeta. And Gemon's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't want to shoot that inside the colony. There are people in here. And of course, in her confusion to disarm herself, he knocks her down, starts wailing on her. Asshole.
And so the kids chase after them. Judao catches up, and he somehow beats Beecha there. And Beecha drove a car.
Yeah, does Judao have these secret ass Walt Disney World junk trader tunnels he knows about?
Oh my god, I hope so.
He has those secret mascot actor warp pipes.
They form a plan to use some old gas tanks that are close by to help Fa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's these the big round derelict gas tanks that are going to be destroyed anyway. So it's a fine that they knock one over.
So while the other ones go to kind of set that trap up, Judao runs out and he just starts shit talking Gemon again, and smacking his ass and yelling at him. And
so good.
Gemon hates this so much. He is not good at taking any insults. He gets distracted from the fight and starts chasing after Judao. And it lines up just right. So Beecha releases the gas tank and it starts rolling down a hill at the Gazette.
It starts rolling down the hill, and Beecha drives off to the side, and it keeps on rolling, and it's about to hit the Gazette. He's like, "Oh, it's round. I can just do this." And he just picks it up and suplexes it away, which is exactly come on. It's an empty gas tank. It wouldn't have done anything probably. And as this happens, we cut over to Judao and Fa, because Judao's trying to get in the cockpit of the Zeta. He's hanging on to it as Fa's fighting. She's like, "Don't get in, dude. I'm in the middle of a fight to the death."
She's like, "I'm a little busy
right now." And she ends up getting electrocuted. She mentions how the conductor is wrong or something, because the Zeta's still damaged, and she's taking hits and getting hurt this entire time. And eventually he convinces Fa to get out of the cockpit, because he's sitting, he's in her lap as he's trying to pilot it, and he's like, "You want to move?" And she's like, "No." He's like, "All right, you want to be my seat then?" And she's like, "Oh, fucking fine, dude."
Also no.
And she gets in the Zeta's hand, and he just kind of drops her, and she's like, "You could let me down." He's being very rude to Fa in this scene. I don't care for it.
Yeah. As he's air quotes setting her down, she warns him not to use his full strength because it'll damage the colony. And so he throws the shield to the ground, and he's like, "Fine, I'm a box." And
yes, it's like Maxter Gundam.
Yeah, he goes full Hajime no Ippo mode and just starts punching him and throwing fists all over the place. And then Gemon is like, "Oh yeah, watch this," and he just turns to the side and takes two of his little arms and starts punching at him.
Yeah, it's just it's so stupid, but Judao's, I guess, plan was to make hit Gemon so many times that he's always moving his cockpit around to dodge, and that makes Gemon dizzy, because we see it from his perspective, and everything starts to blur and warp around, and he gets he's been spinning around like crazy, and Judao starts spinning his cockpit, and he's like, "Oh, make it stop, I'm gonna puke, bro."
And so he uses this dizziness to jump in and cut all four arms off with his beam saber.
Yes! You just go, "Pa-pa!" And, the Geze is out of commission. And, at this point, I'm like, where the hell are the Gazas right now? Are they just, watching this guy get owned? It's very funny if they are.
Earlier, when he was threatening the school, Gotten was like, "Oh my god, this idiot. Aren't we supposed to go attack the Argama?" He's like, "I want nothing to do with this."
Yeah, just let him go off. Who cares?
He's just like, "Oh my god, fuck this guy."
Yeah, this guy sucks. And then, in battle, or after the battle, he admits, Gemon does, that Mashymre is the one who put him up to this. And then, we cut Mashymre, who wants to retaliate, but he can't, because Hamon in his Slumdog Millionaire flashback advised him not to. And he's like, he can't do anything because Gotten also tells him, he's like, all right, let's wait. We're going to get more prototypes built pretty soon. We can use those to fight, and that'll be more exciting and fun. We got to sell those toys somehow, buddy.
And one of them is called the Hama Hama.
The Hama Hama. I can't imagine that's like Hamonsu because she already has the Q-Blade, but like, I want to know what the Hama Hama is. That sounds fun.
I imagine that Mashymre named it after her.
Probably. I can't imagine. And like the last sort of thing is like everyone finally convinces Judao to return the Zeta to the Argama instead of keeping it. And he's like, fine, because like, they tell him he has nowhere to put it. Like he can't store a suit that big. You might as well do it to the Argama because like, the crane rental would cost a fortune. The Argama has a crane you can use for free. And he's like, okay, fine. And he flies off and, he's going along with it. He's getting more, what's the word? He's fine hanging with the Argama for now.
Yeah.
He's still not like at the point of like, he wants to be there all the time, but he'll come around, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's starting to become friends with them a little bit. Friendly.
Yeah. Friendly, yes. All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Oh, yes.
All right, our final episode of the week. The Menace of the Zissa, which is how I'm going to pronounce it, I guess. Zissa. I say Zissa in my head, so.
I kind of just said Za, but I like Zissa.
Oh, the Menace
better.
of the Za. Get some hot Za in you. Oh, God, I'm hungry. I want some Za.
Oh, my God, dude. I'm in a Facebook group that has, like, some local... It's all about local restaurants and stuff. Ooh. And there's this one pizza place that keeps getting posted, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to go there. But they don't do delivery, and I'm too lazy.
The eternal struggle. So, Mashymre heads out in a new suit, the Zissa, to attack the Argama yet again. Bright treats Judao and the gang to a gourmet meal and try to convince them to work aboard the Argama. Everyone accepts but Judao, who doesn't want to work for anyone and leaves. For some reason, his new type abilities start to appear, as he hears Mashymre saying that he'll draw out the Zeta. The Argama gets the report that the Zissa is causing havoc in the colony, so Fa heads out in the Methus and Astonage heads out in the Zeta, trying to convince Bright that he does not need to rely on Judao. The Zissa can handle the Methus, but when the Zeta shows up, Mashymre flies off to get his Gaza C support. Judao's finally convinced to pilot the Zeta, and he faces off against the 3 Xeon suits and ends up teaming up with Fa to make the Zissa retreat. Finally, after the battle, the gang seem to finally convince Judao to stay aboard the Argama for Lena's sake. That's episode. This is a fun one.
Oh my gosh. I think this is probably my favorite of the three.
This is my favorite of the three. I really liked it. I thought it was... It's like an interesting way that it splits up the silliness, because the main plot doesn't really have any of the silly goofiness. It's like this one side sort of well of humor they keep on coming back to that is like where we get the fun silliness of this one.
Yeah.
I like it.
So we start off with Mashymre is in a meeting with Damar, who is Schmatter's boss.
That was his name. I never got his name.
I had to rewind a few times so I could make sure to write it down.
Okay. Damar. All right.
He says that he wants to make a presence in the colony with a new mobile suit called the Zissa.
Zissa.
Zissa. Zissa.
Zissa. It's ZSSA. It's hard to say, hard to read.
It's yeah. I've noticed that about some of the suits in this one so far. They're not the easiest.
Yeah, I liked it though. It's getting silly. And Damar is like telling him not to, because he's like, you have to have the media cover it up, and like Gotten has a printed out estimate of how much that would cost, and he hands it to Mashymre, and he's like, he has to sort of believe in himself, because he flashes back to Haman telling him he can't always act in a noble manner. Sometimes he can have to like break the rules and not be chivalrous to get the job done. So I like that he's like being pushed to like, it's at this point we're starting to see Mashymre kind of like being pushed to not be chivalrous all the time. He's going to have to get down and dirty at some point, which is cool.
He's questioning his beliefs a bit.
And then we cut back over to the Argama.
So everybody's eating some nice boxed lunches, and Bright shows up and he says, "Hey, now that your stomachs are full, I got a favor to ask of you." And he wants them to join the ship until they leave the colony. Yeah,
basically he says that, we could use the help. Everyone's in the hospital right now. Like, you stay here, work with us. We'll make sure you're fed and everything. And if you want, you can just stay here with us after we leave the colony even. Like, you can have a job. You can work here. And everyone's cool with this. Everyone likes this idea, except for Judao, who has a freak out. He doesn't want to be a wage slave. He'd rather be a freelancer working job to job, which is like, well, I guess. More power to you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about that. And then Fa's like, well, if you're gonna be that way, you should at least work off that meal that you just ate.
Yeah, because like it's like a pretty nice meal considering what the Argama usually has, and like this whole scene is this kind of sucks because like he freaks out, he like knocks Lena's food away because he's like, we don't need to have a debt to pay, and Fa slaps him, and he's about to like straight up like punch her, and like she's in tears telling him like we can't always eat like this, and then he like that ends up convincing him to leave because it's it's like kind of clear to him that like the Argama is treating them right now and like trying to ingratiate themselves towards him.
Yeah, and everybody's just kind of looking at him like, dude, do you know how much of an asshole you're being right now?
Yeah, he's being kind of a stinker right now, and I don't really like it.
He kind of feels like he's backed into a corner, and it's like he's like kind of lashing out because he's kind of scared of being backed into that corner, and then he runs away.
Yeah, and as he runs away, he's like, he sees like a can on the ground, he kicks a Coke can, and like we hear a noise. It's not the new type flash, it's some sort of weird like warbly space noise. And he like looks up to the sky and he hears Mashymre's voice saying, "We'll draw them out." And new type? Hello? It's starting?
Yeah, and so it begins.
Really, this is the 6th episode of the show. That's like, I like that new type just happens more and more sooner and sooner.
I'm also worried for him.
Oh god, yeah, I know, right? Like nothing ever ends well for a new type. And of course we cut over to Mashymre, who's heading out into Zissa. He doesn't want to use Gaza C support because they're too well known as Axis suits, but he's able to go out in this one because, it's an experimental suit, it's a prototype, no one's seen it before, so no one would know it's Axis. The Zissa is a funky looking guy.
Oh my god, I love it. It's a chef's kiss.
So this thing is another like short stubby kind of guy. Really short actually. It looks kind of like the Methis. It's like this like sort of two-tone yellow color with like dark blue, black highlights and a lot of red for the missile pods on it. Because this thing is like a walking artillery suit. This thing like is just covered in missiles. It really does look like a Neo Zeon version of the Methis, I think.
Ooh, yes.
Like I don't think we saw it with the full like flight unit on the back yet. I think we just saw it with like the missile pods. So it didn't fully look like Methis mode yet, but like, it has this cool like sort of 3-pronged foot. It goes up again, no waist. It just kind of goes from the pelvis to the chest area, and it has that sort of like, really almost look like winged eyeliner of the the mono eye sort of like visor area. Missile pods, these gigantic missile pods on the shoulders, the missile pod on the top of the head, sort of off to the side, missiles coming out of the arms and the wrists, and like this thing is like just a walking artillery thing, which I think is really cool.
It's very chunky, and I really, really want one.
It's a real chunkster thick boy of a suit.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so he heads out in this.
So, Damar comes home, and he excitedly tells his wife that he got another briefcase of comedically gold bars out of them. And now he's like, we can dip out, we can leave side one, we can go to Earth, and he starts yelling at his butler to make sure everything's all packed up because they're going to leave immediately. They've already been planning this out, and then he realizes, wait, what about my wine collection?
I know.
I also wrote down that the butler looks very ill. He's like a gray color.
The butler looks like he's 300 years old and he's died 3 times.
And so one thing that's so next Mashymre is flying around. And he's like, I'm going to cause no damage, and I'm going to fight somewhere that's sparsely populated. And so, in his efforts to cause no damage whatsoever to any of these fancy houses, he lands in Damar's yard.
It is so good. So, like, Damar's house is on, like, but it's like on a boulder on a hillside, basically, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a nice ass, like, looks like a rich person house. You hate to see it. And, like, he goes out to the wine cellar because he's, like, mad the butler didn't pack everything up. And, of course, Mashymre lands right in the yard. He talks about how he's in gravity, so it's hard to pilot. He stumbles backwards, totally crushes the wine cellar, which dislodges the boulder that the house is on, as he's, like, moving around, and it starts to slide down the hill. It's so good, dude.
Yeah, he basically is like, I'm not going to damage anything. Then he destroys the building and causes a landslide.
Well, it's a rich person, so it's fine.
Yo, absolutely. I'm not upset.
Yeah, no, I'm not upset, right? because, like, the Argama gets the report as this happens that a mobile suit is causing damage in the Northern Hills. And Beach is like, that's where the rich people live. We should just let them do whatever they want and let the homes get damaged. I'm like, yeah, this guy gets it. This is direct action.
But then they're like, oh, yeah, but it's also close to the hospitals. And Faw's like...
Yeah, we might as well help.
Faw's like, hospitals? That means Camille.
That's where my boy is.
And she takes off in the Methus.
Methus is, like, very, very damaged right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as everything is on the Argama. One thing I'm also really looking forward to is to, like, when they get in space and get repaired, and, like, I want to see them fight with, like, you know, touched-up mobile suits. That would be very cool to see.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait until, like, we get to see no holds barred, like, they, like, get to go sicko mode.
I know that the Double Zeta comes pretty early on. I think, like, episode 13, so in a couple weeks we're going to finally see it.
I'm so
and
excited.
I've already made the cover art for that, because, again, all I have to do is, like, replace the robot, but I'm just like, yeah... I mean, I'll espouse my opinions on the Double Zeta when we see it, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So, Fa gets in the Methus, you know, she's going to protect Camille. Beecha and Mondo drive off to get Judao to get him in the Zeta. And as this happens, Astronaut is like, Bright, you dumb son of a bitch. Why do you believe in Judao so much? And, of course, Bright's like, well, he might be a new type, so we kind of gotta. And Astronaut is like, if you tell them that, those brats will be even more big-headed. It's like, yes, you get it. Asanaj is the only guy who has, like, a brain left on the Argama right now.
And so Bright is like, do you have a better idea? Asanaj is like, I do, actually.
Check this out, homie.
And he decides to go hop into the Zeta, and he's the new Zeta pilot. He decided.
And, like, honestly, here's the thing, though. He's the mechanic of all the mobile suits. I feel like he has... Of anyone to just get in a mobile suit, I would trust Astonaj more than most people because he knows the inside and outs of, like, all of them.
Yeah, he's not the worst choice.
He's not... No, absolutely not. I think the worst choice would be Bright, honestly.
No, but that means Bright would probably lose, so that would be the best choice for us.
Oh, yeah, let's get Bright. I mean, not in the Zeta. I don't want the Zeta to be destroyed. Put Bright in a Nemo and have him just be, like, destroyed.
There we go.
Just, like, get that dude blown the hell up. And... God, why am I always, like, losing track of my notes? So, Fa flies out. Mashymre follows her. And he's like, he knows that she's a decoy because the Zeta's not here yet. And he, like, pulls out a beam saber in the Zissa to fight Fa. And at this point, Astronaut shows up in the Zeta. And, you know, of course, astronauts can barely pilot the Zeta, too, because Zeta's, like, a piece of shit right now. And he, like, sort of, like, lands/crashes in front of the shack in the junkyard, and Mashymre's about to fight, and he sees the Zeta guarding this shack valiantly with its entire body, and he's like, oh, the pilot has a chivalrous spirit as well.
Yeah, and so, as he's, like, thinking about how chivalrous and brave the pilot of the Zeta is, the Methus flies in and smashes into the Za, and, they wrestle for a little bit, and he just rips her freaking arm off.
Yeah, dude, it's like, normally when we see limbs get lost, it's like, you know, it gets cut off by a beam saber or it gets blasted by a beam, but like, no, he just straight pulls off the Methus's arm. It's like, kind of sick. Just kind of, yoink, mine now. I have this. One more and I'll look like the Geze. And of course, you know, since there's two mobile suits in front of him, he has to fly away, Mashymre does, to get his backup. He's like, all right, whatever, like, we're doing this. We got to get these Gazas up in here. And Yazan sees them fly over. Everyone is, like, freaking out, thinking it's another war, because, like, you know, it just cuts right away to the Gazas flying around. And Yazan is like, another mobile suit for me. And he steals a moped and drives off to get it. I'm gonna win. God, that hurts my throat to do.
Oh, I bet, man. And so the Gaza Seas are flying around. They also land in Damar's yard. And when Mashymre landed in his yard, all the damage was an accident. The Gaza just straight up lands on top of the truck that has all of Damar's stuff in it. And Damar's wife passes out. She can't stand to see it.
Yeah, she doesn't care about the wine, but she cares about all the luggage. All of her designer Gucci, Louis Vuitton, you know, matching travel luggage, and you simply hate to see it, but I love to see it because, again, it's direct action. They're doing good work.
They then fly off to go join the Sa, and they circle back to where the AU mobile suits are.
Yeah, so this whole scene is like Judao and Fa and Asanaj arguing. Like, you know, Asanaj is like, I'm in a Zeta right now, and Fa's like, Judao, can you please, for the love of God, get in the robot? And she's like she starts to appeal to him by like telling him all about Camille, like how he started as just like a nobody, but he ended up fighting valiantly to save the world. And of course this doesn't work on Judao, because, you know, Judao doesn't care. But Beecha and Ino show up, And they're like, okay, Judo, this is your chance to like get even with the Argama. Like they, you owe them right now, but if you fight, it'll be square. And then Lena's like, it'll be more worthy than being a junk dealer. And all this eventually, breaks Judo down. He's finally convinced to get into Zeta to settle his debt, which is like, I love the motivation of it.
Yeah, he's like, fine, I'll do it, but only to pay them back for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want to he doesn't care about them. He just wants to not owe anything, which is just like, I really, really like it. It's great. So he gets in, he leads the suits to a more junked out sector, and the Zissa is firing missiles to draw him out, because, it has 1 billion missiles, so you can just fire them willy-nilly. And he ends up taking down a Gaza Sea with a beam saber. He doesn't destroy it, but he pierces it through, and I guess that disables it, because Judo has not killed anyone yet, which is at this point Amuro had killed several people, at this point Camille had killed several people, but Judo has not killed anyone yet, and I'm proud of him. He's not a killing machine, and I hope he stays that way. I know he won't. I'm sure next episode he'll kill 10 guys, but for now, I'm okay.
The second Gaza shows up after Judo defeats the first one, and Judo just kicks it, and at this point, the Zissa has found them, and so he just starts unleashing another just barrage of missiles.
None of it really works, though. One hits near Judo, but it's I guess these things don't track. They just kind of fire out and doesn't really do anything.
And then Judo uses his smaller size to his advantage, and he dives between some bars into a space that's too small for the Zissa. And so Mashymre has to ditch his missile pods to dive in after him.
Yeah, I like that. I like that it's a removable sort of thing, because right now the Zissa doesn't really have any of the pods. It's just the sort of stout mobile suit. So it's I like that we see different looks on it. And at this point, the Gaza Sea that Judo kicked shows back up, and then Judo ends up using his Vulcans to take out the mono eye of it, and that's disabled as well.
And you always got to cheer whenever head Vulcans are actually useful.
I know. You never see it, but whenever you do, it's always significant enough. It's yeah, dude. It's just
I just have in my nose, so it's head Vulcans.
Yeah, it's always a treat. It's such a simple thing. It's something that you would never think would work. Just regular ass bullets. But when they use it well, they use it well.
Oh, yeah.
Take out a mono eye, blow up a spaceship. Cool stuff. And as he's fighting Mashymre and the Zissa, he's we got to stop fighting or we're both going to be killed. And Mashymre's about to agree, but he looks down and he notices the stem of the rose is broken a little bit. And this makes him freak out, and he starts shooting more missiles at the Zeta, and he starts punching it like crazy. And because, of course, his favor from Lady Haman is damaged, and we simply can't have that.
Yeah, he went into full rage mode, full barbarian rage.
It's the equivalent of telling Josuke Higashikata that his hair is bad. It's telling Mashymre that his rose sucks. He's the fuck you just say about me?
I will destroy you.
How dare you? How dare you? So Mashymre is about to stab the Zeta. He has his beam saber out. Judo ends up activating his own saber, and he cuts off one of the Zissa's leg. And at this point, Fa flies in the Methus and has his whole ass pylon slams into the Zissa in the back with it.
Yeah, man, like a jousting lance.
It's sick. And lance. And that makes the Zissa, Mashymre has to retreat because he's damaged. And then we cut over. Waluigi's here. Yazan's here. He's biking in, doing some sick jumps. And it's just comedy because he still hasn't said a single word, and he ends up doing too big of a jump, crashes into a wall of junk that causes the little mountain to crumble and cover him in more trash. This is so stupid, Yazan. Why are you like this?
Mashymre decides to flee, and then after the fight, Fa thanks Judo, and he makes sure to remind her, this is just to pay you back for lunch. That's it.
And of course, in response to this, Lena's well, you must be hungry after the battle. And then she hands him another, Argama box to lunch. And now he owes them again.
And he's smart move, I'm starving, and just digs in.
Yeah, and he's oh shit, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. And of course, they all use this opportunity to, once again try and convince Judo. She's Lena even says she's not going to go to school if it means, Judo will stay out of trouble and stay on the Argama. And, I don't think we've gotten an explicit agreement, but, it seems like it's working on him. I feel like he's gonna, probably next episode, be yeah, all right, I'll stay, just because, everyone's here, all my friends are here, and, if you're okay with it, Lena, because he still loves and cares for his sister deep down, so I think it'll be good for them all. I mean, it won't, because they shouldn't be on it in the first place, but,
It's got its ups and downs.
Yeah. And finally, we cut to the bridge, and, Bright's getting a transition from Chimatter. And he tells Bright that La Vie en Rose, is only a day away from the colony. They can repair and resupply soon. And they're talking about, like, wow, like, Shimatter shouldn't be saying this to us while Axis is here. And then we hear that Shimatter says that his annoying boss is gone, so it's easier for him to get this information out. Of course, cut to the annoying boss, whose house just straight up, like, completely collapses. Get owned, Damar. You deserved it.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you, Damar. Nice episode. I really, really liked it. It was great.
It was a fun one.
I like that it does, the last two were like mobile suit of the week. I like that we get more characterization from Judao. I like that we can sort of see where the plot's going. I like that things will be repaired soon, so we're not going to be stuck in Colony 10 for much longer, or Side 1, Colony 10, I guess we're on. I like it. Good show so far.
It's really good.
Yeah. Well, Jake, I have a little things prepared for us for our segment this week, because you and I are going to go Beyond Toon World.
You're going to love this. Trust me.
Beyond Toon World! We, this week, Jake, are talking about the voice of our boy, Judao Ashita, whose voice actor is Kazuki Yao, born June 17th, 1959, in Kanazawa, in the Ichikawa Prefecture of Japan, and that is all we know about this guy.
Oh.
There is, like, nothing on the wiki.
Oh, wow.
There usually isn't. I feel like a lot of the times if there is a lot to say, it's, like, sad stuff, so I'm like, it's arguably better because we don't need to read about how they died or whatever.
That's fair.
But he's still active. He's still working. He's been active since mid-'80s, which is pretty sick.
Oh, nice.
I feel like I guess he would have had to be active since the mid-'80s because he voiced a character in Zeta and Double Zeta.
Yeah.
So, going through, we got a couple of notable roles here. So one of his first roles, was not in Double Zeta, but Single Zeta Gundam, voicing Adis, who was one of the soldiers at the Titan's base in Dakar that Beltorchica hangs out with, and Gates Kappa, the cyber new type Rosamia's brother, who I guess died when Rekoa blew up Basque's ship.
Oh.
So two very minor characters, but he was there in a show that I've never heard of that sounds really sick called Dan Koog, Super Beast Machine God.
Oh my god.
1985. Yeah, and this is like a multi-series because this showed up like 4 different times in the list. Character named Shinobu Fujiwara, so that sounds, I don't know what that is, but that sounds pretty sick. I like all of those words separately.
Yeah.
Of course, 1986, Double Zeta, Judao. We love to see it. We cut to the future a bit. In 1995, so are you familiar with Street Fighter, Jake?
I've fought in some streets before.
Okay, yeah. In the TV show Street Fighter 2, he voiced Fei Long, of all people.
Oh.
Which is like, I guess, Fei Long would be Chinese, I think? Korean?
I'm pulling up a picture of him, but I cannot remember anything about the guy.
Fei Long, he's Bruce Lee inspired, so...
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, he's Hong Kong then. Okay. He's from Hong Kong in Street Fighter. So, cool. Are you familiar at all with Monster Rancher, Jake?
Oh, man. Oh, you just hit me in the nostalgia right there.
You remember that with Suezo and the Rock guy?
And the little eyeball dude? Oh, man.
Yeah. In Monster Rancher, the TV show 1999, he voiced Tiger of the Wind. I don't remember the name, but I see this blue and white wolf that has like horns, and I'm like, I know that thing. I remember it.
God, I used to watch that show. I loved that.
I know. God, Monster Rancher is cool. I think it's still around. I think they're still making games.
Really?
That's fun stuff. I'm pretty sure there's a Switch game for it, which is, kind of crazy. I miss that stuff. Stupid, weird 90s monster collecting things.
Gonna Google that right now.
Yeah. Monster Rancher is cool. While you do that, I'll hit you with... in every iteration of Initial D, the cool car drift show, he voiced Koichiro Iketani, which I have not seen Initial D. I know it sort of belies my car guy nature. Maybe one day I will. Maybe I'll make an entire ass podcast about, anime cars. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
One Piece, here we go, getting into the big stuff.
Ooh.
He voiced Mr. Tubon Clay, minor character. Mon Bluton, minor character. Django, the Steven Tyler looking dude.
Oh.
And Jake, he's Frankie.
Oh.
He's been Frankie in like every single One Piece, even to modern day.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
I love Frankie. Just a big ass, like, cyborg robot dude, big ol' arms, cool blue hair. Love to see it.
He's probably my favorite member of the crew. Him or Usopp, I'm not sure.
I think I'm a Zoro guy myself.
Zoro's pretty sweet.
Chopper's cool too. He's fun.
Chopper's doctrine.
Many are saying. In 2000, in Digimon Adventure 02, he voiced Ninjamon, of all things, just like a sort of one-off.
Huh.
But I know Ninjamon. He's like this, he's like a little ball with hands and feet, and he has like a cool, like dark, like maroon ninja outfit, and he has a big old shuriken. He's fun.
Oh, he's great.
And maybe his biggest role in Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, he was Yoki.
He
was loser-ass Mr. Yoki.
Oh, wow.
In Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, okay, sure, I'll take it. God, just love that dude. Fool-ass man. In the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl anime, he was Byron, which is, of course, the Canalave City Steel-type gym leader, father of Rourke.
Oh, nice.
Byron's fine. He never was a character in the games, but I liked, he had a cool gym. I like that he has Steelixes. I like Steelix a lot.
Steelix is pretty neat.
In Death Note, he was Cedo, which I think is one of the, what are the names of the Willem Dafoe creatures again?
The Shinigami?
Shinigami. I knew it was something Gami. I think Cedo's one of them.
Okay.
In Gundam 00, one of the Gundams I have not yet seen, that I will at some point, he is Aber Lint. So that's a character I'll have to look out for.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I think he's like this gaunt gray hair looking dude. Let me just... Yeah, he has like a sort of like Miles Edgeworth-ish cut.
Yeah.
Not fully quiffed there, but it's kind of there. In Digimon Fusion, one of the later Digimon series, he's Zamielmon, which, if I remember Zamielmon correctly, let me search my mind. It's like this cool sort of like archer armor guy. Yeah. He's like this weird, like sort of like green and yellow archer armor guy. Has a bunch of arrows sticking in him and like this huge ass arrow on the back. He kind of has Kingdom Hearts feet too. He's a funky looking dude. Lastly, so he's still working to modern day, but like a lot of his stuff is more minor roles. But like again, mainly being Frankie in One Piece and all of the Judao voices in all the Super Robot Wars games. But his like most recent notable role to date in Adventure Time, he's Billy.
Oh snap!
You know the weird like gray beard skin looking dude. That guy.
Right on.
It's been a long time since I've seen Adventure Time, but I was like, I know Billy. Yeah, ooh, that's a very scary picture of Cedo. I don't like care to see that.
Yeah, he's not great.
Making a funky face. But yeah, that's our Beyond Toon World on Kazuki Yao. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Judao. Thank you, Kazuki. Thank you, Frankie. Love to see it.
Thank you. That was nice to know.
Yeah, I always like to, I don't need all the Beyond Toon Worlds to be like these crazy blowouts of like this person is this deranged role, but like this one, I'm cool with. I like that he has a lot of stuff that he's done, but nothing just like insane like dubbing Luke Skywalker. Or whatever.
Yeah. Steve Carell.
Yeah. Well, now Jake is the time. As we wrap up, we can talk about our plugs. Jake, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on the twitter.com at Mr. Jakey Poo. You can also find me on Hearts Against Balance, a Kingdom Hearts inspired actual play podcast, where I am playing Seahawk from She-Ra. You can also find me on a podcast, Most Foul, where my wife and I are reading through the Artemis Fowl books.
Most foul indeed, but a podcast most wonderful to listen to.
Aw, shucks.
Yeah. I'm Max. You can find me on Twitter at MaxyBajillion. You can listen to two of my other shows, which are Pod of Greed, the world's #1 and only Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast sponsored by Kaiba Corp, on Twitter at Pod of Greed Cast, and Slappers Only, a video game music showdown podcast hosted by me and my friend Jordan. And when this episode goes up, we should be recording our next episode on Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Oh!
And yeah, that's like the main game that we wanted to do the podcast for. So we're like, it's the first episode of 2021. We're going to do it that way.
I love that.
Yeah. And those shows and this and many, many more can be found on Noisepace.xyz. It is a podcast network made by our friend Matt, who is a living, breathing Nintendo GameCube. You can find this and many other shows, including Big Match Minute on wrestling. You can find City Girls Make Do, who just finished their Watch the Sex in the City. You can find Radish, listen to some rad tunes, and many, many more. Go to the noisepace.xyz, check it out. I hope I didn't say .xyz earlier. I might have. Sorry, Matt. You're probably not listening anyway. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Oh, you get to ask me this week, I believe.
Max.
Yeah.
What is your robot of the week?
I'm glad you asked, Jake. So, my yearly tradition is after Christmas, with gift card money, I buy an irresponsible amount of Gunpla. So, strangely enough, my robot of the week is an actual Gundam, or rather a robot from Gundam, a mobile suit. It is the Bjarlant. I love this thing. It is the first of my many kits that I'm digging into this year. I got a pair of God Hand, so I am like just getting that marks out of here. It is coming together so nicely. I'm being so deliberate with it. I have a new cutting mat and a runner holder coming in tomorrow. I am truly becoming the Gunpla guy. And my funky, wide-ass, John Cena-looking, Mom said it's my turn to use the Xbox stance robot is my robot of the week. Thank you, Bjarlant. Thank you, Jared. Rest in peace.
The Bjarlant is a very good choice. I love to hear it.
I have, oh my god, let's see. I have Turn A coming in. I have an SD Cubeblade coming in because I couldn't find a real Cubeblade at like a decent price. And I was like, whatever. I'll just buy an SD one and like, I'll be okay with that. I have a Penelope coming in. Love that weird chicken. I have two of the Iron-Blooded Orphans Gecko suits coming in, the Hajiro Boshi and the Marcosi S.
Nice.
Which I guess is the same suit. I have the... I'm thinking... Oh, and I have the Bound Dock, of course.
Of course.
And lastly, I'm so excited for this one. I got the Kshatriya coming in.
Nice.
I love the Kshatriya so much. Can't wait to talk about Unicorn. That was my thing. That was me yelling about robots. And speaking of yelling about robots, it's time for us to say goodnight. Thank you all for tuning in yet again. Jake, once again, a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm glad we're going on this adventure together. I feel like you and I are getting that synergy building up.
Oh god, me too. I'm having such a good time.
It is. Love Double Zeta. Love podcasting. Take us away, as we always say, in the words of our very own podcast.
War is bad.
Wow. Cool robots. Wow, I haven't said that in so long. Thank you and good night, listeners.
Doodles doodles.
Peach.